Today on Locked On Red Wings, Detroit's youth steps up in a big way in a comeback win over the St. Louis Blues.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. I'm a podcast producer for the Daily J, a WWJ News Radio podcast, while Scotty's a host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News. On today's episode, guys, the Red Wings snapped their 3-game losing streak. We're going to break that whole thing down for you. Obviously, the youth, as mentioned in the cold open, stepped up in a huge way for the Red Wings. Also, power play only scored once, but man, did it look dangerous. And Patrick Kane is a big reason why. Every single game he plays, I'm in love with him on the power play more and more. Defensive woes continued, as well as talking about Ville Husso. Might have a controversial take on Ville Husso this game. People's opinions on him are pretty set in stone, but we'll get to it. But first, gonna let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Scotty, I want to ask you, after a 6-4 comeback, multiple comebacks in this game, win over the St. Louis Blues, what is your instant reaction to the win? What would you say is like one word you would use in this win?
Wow. Relief.
Okay.
Would be one, just because I was pretty vocal about it and kind of wore it on my sleeve yesterday, right? Where like I was legitimately worried about how this team was going to perform against anyone in the NHL without Compher, Larkin, Perron. Like that's
Right.
a tough three for this specific team to be missing, and I was legitimately worried that like they would struggle even against bad teams. And there's an argument to be made that they kind of did struggle against bad teams, but I think that's why I would choose relief, right? Because it was a back and forth game, whatever. But as I said yesterday, and when we were talking about a loss, I'll say again, talking about a win, they all count the same at the end of the season, baby. That they don't ask how, they ask how many. And and that's why I'm gonna be I really was like, it just felt like kind of a, this is probably like way too dramatic, but like, it just felt like a weight off my shoulders. I was like, oh, thank goodness. Like this season isn't just like lost. Like we're not just going to lose every game until these guys are healthy. Like there actually is, and they played hard too. I have a lot of issues with the defense in this game. I thought it was absolutely, again, not to be too dramatic, I thought it was pretty dang bad though, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I just was, I really more than anything was just relieved that they were able to win despite not having 3 of their best players.
Yeah, and so it's funny. I mean, relief is a good word to use. For me, it's more thrilled, and that's solely because of the one factor, and that is the youth on this team being the ones who step up in the, for the most part. You got goals from Raymond, Seider, and not that Seider had a great game. He and Walman, we'll talk about the defensive woes. Had some mistakes, but Raymond, Seider, Veleno, and Jonatan Berggren, all stepped up and scored big-time goals when the Wings needed it most. So for me, it's thrilled, but that is also, like you said, not to say I'm ignoring all the issues that this team had in this game. It was by far not a perfect game. And after the second period, I tweeted out like how much the Blues, who are consistently one of the few teams in the league that are worst at 5-on-5 in every metric than the Red Wings, were dominating Detroit. And it's like, yeah, I understand they're down 4 forwards, 3 of which play top 6 minutes for this team, and their top 2 centers, of course. So like, yeah, that's a factor,
We
but
played this
also
game without a 1C and won a hockey game.
literally
That was like how I viewed it, man. Like we literally did not have a first line center in this game and we won. So like, I don't care who the opponent is. I'm going to take that and run.
that was the funniest thing when the Red Wings tweeted out their projected lineups and it did not include a center between Kane and DeBrincat. And it's like they were literally admitting no one can fill the Dylan Larkin void.
Yeah. They were like, yeah, we're just going to rotate it. These other three guys who are going to play center are going to be their line centers, but like we're going to rotate the top.
I mean, if I'm being honest, you got to do that right now. When you're down Compher, you're down Larkin. I don't hate the 11 and 7 because honestly, and no, I don't mean to throw shade at Zach Aston Reese, but it's almost like an addition by subtraction in that regard. By like, by not having a 4 set lines and allowing a little bit of fluidity towards the lines, you can try and figure out on the go what chemistry works. And Joe Veleno, he worked in this game and he worked hard. I know that the 3 stars of the game officially are Larkin, Kevin Hayes, who scored twice, and Robby Fabbri, who had the game-winning goal. But Joe Veleno is the number 1 star of this game, like without a doubt.
Fantastic.
2 clutch, he had the primary assist on the power play Raymond goal, and a clutch takeaway with the Blues up 2 men. Empty net goal, power play with 1.5 minutes left. The Blues try to cycle the puck up along the blue line. Veleno steals the puck, sends it down the ice, and Rasmussen just finishes the job burying it to seal.
Immediately gives credit to Veleno.
Oh, yeah. He raced over to Veleno because it was all Joey V, and that wasn't just those 2 plays either. Veleno ended up playing the most minutes on this hockey team. Scotty, he played 23 minutes in this hockey game. This is a guy who, coming into the year, was given an $800,000 contract off of a down year last year. And it's like literally the definition of a prove it deal. Might be the biggest prove it deal I've ever seen, getting paid that a literal decrease in pay over his ELC into this contract. And he's stepping up in such a big way. He also won 13 faceoffs and only lost 8, 61 faceoff victory percentage for him. Like that's just, he had such a huge impact on this game. I know the Corsi 4 percentage and the expected goals for 4 percentage will say that he was below 50. But when you're a Joe Veleno playing way above your pay grade, putting in that much effort and getting rewarded for it on the score sheet, like obviously youth as a whole were big impacts, but none greater than what Joe Veleno provided in this hockey game.
Yeah, 100%, man. And that is something I know I specifically was, but like as a whole, we were like very critical of Veleno. Last season, at the end of last year, I was very hard on Veleno this offseason. And we were having conversations. I remember a comment I made in the preseason.
We both made.
Yeah, where I remember I had said something about like his roster spot isn't even guaranteed, like on opening night in the preseason, and now he has solidified himself as one of the like better producing forwards on this hockey team. He still is like young. He is improving rapidly. He's skating with so much confidence this year, and that's like really the biggest thing for me. Like the night and day difference, if you were to compare this season to last year, is it genuinely is like just like skating. I don't know if it's all confidence, but like he is a powerful skater when he wants to be. And this season, I feel like he's just really aggressive at all the right times. And I almost just choked on myself. Okay, I'm alive. And yeah, man, I like that play at the end of the game, obviously really highlighted it, but just in general, he has been so phenomenal this season, and I can't sing his praises enough. He has tenfold proven me wrong. We talk about him. It feels like every game we're like, hey, Joe Veleno, like, remember when we were like critical of him? Like I feel like we've had this conversation like 20 times already. It feels like after every game we're like, man, like, boy, is he proving us wrong. And this is just another, the latest example of that.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing this year what Michael Rasmussen did last year, like just stepping up in an unexpected way and having a huge impact, and not to say like they're 1-for-1 playing the same game, but in regards to just the way
No, of
they
course.
step up when people don't expect it. And Veleno, he's going to walk away from this game on -2. His Corsi 4 percentage is going to be like a 21%. But this is a guy who should be your third line center, in all honesty. And he's being forced to play top line minutes, 23 minutes in this game against the Blues. And yeah, the Blues aren't a great team, but they're not an awful team either. They're a middle of the pack team.
Yeah.
And they have some really good players on their roster. And he's out there playing 23 minutes and putting up assists in the most crucial moments. And it's those most crucial moments that are going to define this team. And Veleno was the biggest contributor at those times. Scotty, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to talk about the other youth that provided some score sheet, provided a little bit on the score sheet in this game. Struggling with my words this evening, man. So stay tuned.
I almost just choked on air, so we're really crushing it here.
That's been happening a lot to you lately, I feel. Just like choking on your own spit and stuff, man.
Well, I said air, but yeah.
Stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. Got to talk to you guys today about Game Time. Are you tired of just like trying to buy some tickets and you're just tired of buying tickets in general?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Because, I mean, if you're using Game Time, you're not going to be tired. And I understand why you'd be tired, though, Scotty, because most apps, I'm not going to name them here. We're not going to do that. But, you got to buy some tickets. You think they're going to be $20, $30. You're going to get some nosebleeds to your local Tigers game when they're in season. You're like, oh, dude, mezzanine seat, $20 to watch my Tigers lose 10-1. Let's go.
Calm
and
down.
Next thing you know, you're spending $60. Oh, because those fees just get you. Well, Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you the complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know exactly what you're getting without hidden fees. Buy tickets in 2 seconds with just 2 taps. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute tickets. With zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, obviously some other players amongst the youth stepped up in this game as well. Lucas Raymond had a 2-point night on his own. One was off the feed from Joe Veleno on the power play, just out front. Raymond buries it. And then, of course, he had a primary assist on Robby Fabbri's game-winning goal just a few minutes later, rather. And Lucas Raymond's another guy who, had a little bit of a down year last year. And we came into the season saying if he puts on weight, he could have a breakout year. Like, we honestly thought that the only thing that was holding him back was that he was just getting pushed around a little bit too much. You come out this season, he's clearly stronger, protecting the puck so much more, and he's on pace for a 70-point season, Scotty, on pace for 29 goals and 41 assists. That is a certified breakout season. And I'm watching Lucas Raymond play, and I still wonder yet if he has another gear in him, because on so many plays, he's just this much. And for those who are listening, not watching, my fingers are very close, like maybe an half inch from touching, from like hitting that next level and becoming an 80-point guy, a 90-point guy. And he's still always going to be a pass first guy. I don't think, on pace for 29 goals is fantastic. I don't know if he'll ever be a 40 goal scorer, but I mean, his playmaking ability and hockey IQ is next level. And it showed itself on that Robby Fabbri goal. Andrew Kopp fed him the puck along the half wall, and it took him one look to see Fabbri breaking in and just feed him and caught Binnington off guard. It was Lucas Raymond's having a great year, and I just hope that this trend continues.
Yeah, man. No, 100%. And to your point, like to further support your point there, like I thought that he could have even had a few more points on the stat sheet in this game. I thought on the power play specifically, there was a couple instances in which he was just a hair late on one. He just whiffed
Oh yeah.
on a one-timer, and then there was one where like there was a pass to him and he like flubbed it just a little bit to where he had to like skate back and kind of reset. Like there was even a couple moments in this game alone, right? In a vacuum, it's a one game sample, but like even tonight, right? Like there was opportunity for him to get more, and that's not to say that he's like failing a ton or whatever. Like he's obviously having a great year, but I kind of agree with you, and I'll for this year, given that how young he still is, like I will just gladly take. I'll gladly take the year that he's on pace for. I'd imagine, maybe it'll even come down a little bit more, but that's still a fantastic season for him, and I think one that should be celebrated. And then, next year maybe he puts on. I don't want this to turn into the Miguel Cabrera best shape of his life thing, but maybe he puts on like 5 to 7 more pounds of muscle, and he continues working on stuff, and he's so young still. Like I think
21.
people forget how young he still is, man. So like he has the ability to continue to develop, and that's really exciting.
Homie was born in 2002. That's how
Right.
young he is.
That's wild.
Incredible. Yeah, he's been great. Obviously, Moritz Seider. I don't think Moritz Seider had a great game. The defense as a whole had a pretty brutal game, but Moritz Seider and Jake Walman, granted, again, it's always tough to judge their performances because they're given the toughest assignments. They're given the most minutes. Walman and Seider, 1850. Fun fact, Walman had the least amount of ice time in yesterday's game among defensemen, and then had the most amount of ice time in tonight's game.
A great goal
among
this
defensemen.
game.
Yeah, Walman had a great goal. It's funny, both Walman and Seider, and this kind of goes into our defensive woes conversation we're going to have a little later, but both of them made pretty egregious errors early in the game that led to goals against.
Seider's turnover was atrocious.
It was atrocious. And both of them made up for it. Walman immediately came back down the ice, picked up like the third rebound and just nipped it top shelf, far side. Incredible sharp angle. Just he's got such good accuracy. And then Moritz Seider, of course, he started the breakout that led to his own goal. He passed it up to Michael Rasmussen, who a little kudos to him as well. He was, he's had a really rough season, but in the last 2 weeks, despite a couple of phantom calls against him that have led to penalties and then power play goals against, he had 3 goals last week. And in this game, he protected the puck beautifully on 2 separate occasions that led to 2 goals for. On the Seider goal, especially, he breaks down the wing and he sends it towards the net. And Moritz Seider gets the rebound and buries it home. So, I mean, like the young players on this team, plus Jake Walman, who's like 27, and Robby Fabbri, who's like 28, really showed up. And that's what we were talking about when we knew we were going to be missing this much depth from our forward core, is it was going to come down to, who was going to step up. And that, thankfully, is something that this team hasn't really struggled with all season, right? Like depth scoring has been this team's strongest suit. They've had goals from everywhere. We said it in yesterday's episode when they put up 3 goals against the Dallas Stars. Like they have the most 5+ goal scorers of any team in the NHL. Moritz Seider just got his 5th goal, and that matches his goal total from last season. And Jake Walman now leads all defensemen on the Red Wings with 6 goals. So that is what's going to lead them to success as long as Larkin and JT Compher and Perron and Kostin are out, is continuing to get goals from everywhere. And it's been great. And it's great that the youth is leading the way in the goals for category.
Yeah, man. I mean, Berger too, right? Like he's looked really solid the last couple of games, right? I mean, yeah, man. I think I think it's been nice to see, and it's again, like when your depth is your youth, that's just like a really reassuring thing to see, like the youth kind of get like spread out throughout the lineup, and to see the team continue to be able to win and whatnot. So yeah, and yeah, again, Berger specifically too. I mean, he I think he looked really solid in this one. He had one really bad pass that I remember, but besides that, I thought he looked pretty solid, and that's 2 games in a row that I think he's looked pretty solid. So.
He got both his goals in the same exact spot.
Yeah,
right there,
nearly the same way. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, just go to the net and good things happen.
Right.
He puts himself at a good distance. He pick up a rebound and bury it home. I mean,
it pokes deep, man.
Again,
Not
that
that
Berggren
hard.
goal doesn't happen without Rasmussen protecting the puck down low. Like Rasmussen carried that puck around behind the net after breaking along the wing, stopped, pivoted back, is battling along the boards, finds Daniel Sprong, who finds Petrie, who rings it off the post. Then
I think it's a
Berggren.
couple good games in a row for Rasmussen too, which we haven't really said too much this year.
Yeah, which is
He's kind of had
you're right. We haven't
I
said
don't
that
want to
too
say
much.
like a down year, but maybe just based on how much of a step forward he took last year, I maybe he's taken a slight step back early on this year, but I think that's 2 or 3 games in a row that I think he's looked pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, like overall, guys, when it comes to what led this Red Wings victory is players stepping up when you needed it most, and that's what's going to keep happening. The Red Wings' strength of depth scoring
Offensively.
has been great. Offensively,
Right.
obviously, we're going to get to the defensive woes because those continue in segment 3 as long as the conversation about Husso. But I also want to talk about the Patrick Kane and the power play. So it's going to be a pretty packed segment 3 as Scotty and I have that ability to just drone on and on. So stay tuned to segment 3. Got to talk to you guys today about Sleeper. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities, and Lucas Raymond could score 70 points. And the Red Wings could hoist that Stanley Cup. And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is the #1 choice for daily fantasy hockey and especially daily fantasy sports. I read that backwards. It's daily fantasy sports and then daily fantasy hockey, but both still stand true because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. To win 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of an 8-player stats. You heard me, Red Wings fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. So that's code LOCKEDONNHL and see Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, real quick before we get to the defensive woes of this hockey game, the reason why the Red Wings still gave up 4 goals. The power play, man, I know they only went 1 for 4, but with the exception of the very first one, man, did it look lethal. And and to be fair, I know the Blues have one of the worst penalty kills in the league. I think it's literally the 31st ranked penalty kill in the league right now.
31. Yeah, it's down there though.
It's really down there. And the power play is really brutal too. Their power play went 0 for 3. But regardless, like
They score shorties like it's no one's. I almost just dropped that F-bomb.
no one's freaking.
They literally said on the broadcast they have more shorthanded goals than power play goals this year.
Yeah, I think they were coming into the game. They were tied for first, and then they scored another one. But that one, and like the Red Wings obviously have given up 4 shorthanded goals in the last 4 games.
Broken stick. Like,
that one was just kind of like you can't catch a break, man. But as far as the power play goes, man, the puck movement was phenomenal. They had a ton of really good opportunities. It felt like
Patrick Kane's passing is. And like I don't even know if his passing is obviously incredible, but I don't even know if that's like it's. And I feel like I've said this like 5 episodes in a row, but it's the decision making. Like every decision he makes, you're like, yeah, you're like absolutely, like yes. It's remarkable. It truly is remarkable.
No, and Patrick Kane's presence on the power play is such a commanding yet calming presence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've complained a lot about how much this team passes on the power play without getting a shot. But Patrick Kane's that guy where that puck's on a stick. He can stick handle all he wants. He can pass as much as he wants because that's the reason why he's a Hall of Famer. He is one of the best playmakers to ever play in the game. The one thing is the Red Wings have to get used to receiving his passes.
Yeah, there's a couple of times just in these like last couple of games where there's been like
they clearly aren't expecting the pass.
Like just don't expect to get the puck pass to them. Raymond had a couple in this one.
He can just thread that needle like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So once the Red Wings get used to the fact that Patrick Kane's going to just send it their way through traffic and it's going to get to them, they're going to score so much more on the power play. And even at 5-on-5, Kane and DeBrincat, man, I know they haven't scored really yet at all. Obviously, Kane has a goal and an assist now since joining the Red Wings. He had a secondary assist on Raymond's goal on the power play. But they're so close to connecting. Like they're so close to very soon just popping off and becoming a lethal line for the Detroit Red Wings. Patrick Kane himself, I swear, since he's joined the Red Wings, by the way, this is the first win of the Patrick Kane era. He's got to have like an expected goals of like freaking 5. He hit a post early on in this game, and then he whiffed on a shot with a wide open net in the late in the second period, I think, right in the slot. I mean, this guy, and he got hooked one-on-one with the goalie. He just keeps finding himself around the net, man. And I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. It's Patrick Kane, but like a little bit of me is surprised by, I mean, they were going to ease Patrick Kane back into the Red Wings lineup, just limit his minutes.
Yeah, that was before a quarter of the offense all got hurt at the same time.
He played 22 minutes against Dallas. How many game minutes did he play tonight against the St. Louis Blues? Patrick Kane finished with 20 minutes of ice time, and he looks great. Like, honestly, I mean,
he does.
It's hard to even tell that he had this surgery, which is really reassuring. Obviously, 4 games played, a lot can still happen. Hoping for the best and that nothing happens, right? But it is just like astounding how good he looks. I thought he had a shot, like a real shot of being that exception to the rule when it comes to this surgery, but he's looked phenomenal. Like phenomenal. I can't, except for, when Ghost broke his stick and he didn't even take a stride to try and stop that guy from having a breakaway. But I didn't even get upset at that because, like, that's Patrick Kane.
He's 35 coming off of hip surgery, and he was 4 steps behind him. If you think that anything besides what happened was happening, that's your own fault.
It was closer than you think, but also, like you said, 35 coming off hip surgery, and he's never been a defensive player. So I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Anyways, Scotty, enough gushing over another great performance from Patrick Kane, who's just so close to popping off for the Red Wings. Defensively,
again in this game too.
Oh,
he didn't hit cross; it was post.
It was same difference. He hit pipe. Anyways, defensively, this team just continues to get shelled. In total, they gave up 67 shot attempts in this game. 51 of those came at even strength. Ville Husso made 36. No, wait. He faced 37 shots and he gave up 4 goals in this one. So that would be 33 shots is how many he saved. Okay, cool. That's math. I'm glad. I'm proud of myself.
Good job, man. Proud.
Yeah, I mean, not a great defensive performance. And when you're down as many forwards as the Red Wings are, they're going to need a complete team defensive performance to win hockey games, and they didn't get it again.
No, they didn't. Yeah, I honestly, it was like abysmal. Like, it was. You can go and look at every single goal and be like, wow, there is a huge breakdown happening here. All right, like, obviously the broken stick one, whatever. If you want to like not count that one, that's fine. All the rest of them, it still applies. Like, the first goal they gave up, it was just everyone was standing around. Like, everyone was just puck watching. Not a single person like made a move on anybody. Husso's save attempt for that one was also wild to me. He just like I don't know. He like jumped, and then while jumping, like made his body smaller for some reason and like tucked his legs in. I didn't really.
It's like Reimer did yesterday.
Right. It's really easy for me to say that from my couch, and he's the one in the crease there. But like it's just I don't know. It was just a weird game in terms of Husso. It's very tough, man. It's so tough to do because it's not like, how do I word this? It's not like he's getting any help out there by the defense, right? This was an atrocious defensive performance as a team.
Yeah, I mean,
he's getting no help. He was left out to dry numerous times. It's just like you on the same breath, though, you would also like to be surprised by a save maybe once. Like, if one time we could maybe get surprised and like you could stop a high danger opportunity, like that would also, you know what I mean? Like, it's a very fine line that I'm trying to walk, and I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job. But like I've said it a lot this season, like, both can be true. You can have really bad goaltending and really bad defensive work. This game I just felt like was so bad defensively. It's I don't know. It's a tough game to break down in that regard.
I mean, we've talked about it on end, right? About what is causing these issues. One, the Red Wings do not play a possession heavy style of game, whether that's due to skill or due to scheme. I have yet to really figure out on my own. But they don't possess the puck a lot. And when you don't possess the puck, it means the other team possesses the puck. I know, huge rocket science there, right?
Crazy.
But that just leads, they let teams just kind of glide through the neutral zone, take the defensive zone. They don't really put up a lot of resistance at the blue line to try and break up those zone entries. They just give up the zone. And then they play a very conservative style inside the defensive zone in which they kind of just try and perimeter out, like box out the other team the entire time and wait for them to make an errant pass or make a mistake in which they can recover the puck and then try to break out. And this is where, it works out for them, because when those errant passes do happen and they intercept it, Red Wings get an on-man rush, and a lot of times they'll finish. Yeah. The Red Wings, one of the most prolific goal-scoring teams in the league, they score off the rush all the time.
Right. Or they play the most aggressive forecheck you've ever seen, and then they're just completely gassed the last period of the hockey game.
They play a very aggressive forecheck in the offensive zone. I feel like it's not so much in the defensive zone, though.
No, I agree with you. That's my point. Like it's really aggressive in the offensive zone and in the neutral zone to try and prevent entries, but it's also they've never done it for 3 periods. And like that's the part that frustrates me, is that I don't understand how part of your game plan cannot be sustainable. Like that's like, that doesn't make sense to me. Why would you game plan for something your team can't do for 3 periods? Like that makes zero sense to me. So like that's the part that frustrates me the most. But like you're completely right. It's much more conservative in the defensive zone.
Yeah, and what's crazy is the Red Wings have played so hard, and that's the thing, is the Red Wings looked really good for stretches of this hockey game, and I thought they played very well for the bulk majority of the third. But the moment they got a 1-goal lead, all of a sudden they're playing super conservative in the defensive zone again. And Andrew Kopp takes an ill-timed bad penalty. And I was like, dude, I swear to God, if this team blows this game on a bad penalty late in the game, leading to a power play, empty net goal 4, I'm going to like strangle Scotty. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill somebody. Probably not.
Realize my well-being in the hands of the Detroit Red Wings. That's crazy,
man. I'm going to lay hands on anyone. It's going to be around that neck of yours. Although I don't know. You got a thick neck. I don't know if you'll be able to get it all the way around. But yeah, seriously, it's really frustrating to watch this team try and a lot of times fail, seal games. And fortunately, rather, this time Joey Poison, as people are calling him now, sealed the deal for the Red Wings on a superb takeaway. But it was nerve-wracking again. They play such an aggressive forecheck. They score off the rush, but man, do they just let teams pepper them with shots. And, and what you said too, to circle back to that regarding Ville Husso, this is a game where, he let in 4 goals against, but I'm looking at this goal by goal, and I'm really struggling to find one where I'd be like, that's his fault. Like that was a genuine softie, because
I thought the first one you could argue again, like he had that saved. He just like tucked his left leg in. Like
but look at the circumstances again. Like why?
I agree. The defense was awful. I'm not arguing that at all. I'm just saying he was literally in position to make a fantastic save and do it, and then just like didn't. And I feel like that's what a lot of his season has been, which is why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, because like this is the 2 games in a row where the team got puck watching, not looking for a player backdoor. Yesterday it was Ben Sherratt. Didn't notice Robertson backdoor. And then in this game it was Brandon Saad and Jake Walman. Jake Walman watching where the puck was going, not keeping his head on a swivel to see if there was anyone backdoor. Saad just slipped backdoor, cross zone feed right to him. And, that's it. Even though Ville Husso made it over, that's still a tough save to make, because that's a really high danger scoring area. And then the Kevin Hayes one, that was a deflection. The second Kevin Hayes one was an egregious turnover by Moritz Seider, shot and then through a screen by Kevin Hayes. And then the Scandella one, we talked about it against the Sharks game, right? 4 breakaways / odd man rushes against. You want Ville Husso to make one of those saves, like just one clutch save, right? And you could make the same argument here. Like you really want him to make a clutch save on a shorthanded breakaway, and he didn't. But also, like you said, both can be true. And he just in this game was not helped out whatsoever. And the reason why I'm not going to blame Billy Husso for necessarily as hard is because I thought he made a lot of really good saves in this game as well. He made a huge save with the Wings up 1 late in the third period to keep them up 1. And then in the first period, especially, he made tons of really big saves.
Yeah.
So like I struggle to see one goal where I can sit here and go, that was a genuine softie in this one. So yeah, his save percentage is going to be less than 900, not stellar. Gave up 4. You still want to see him maybe make a couple more saves, but breaking down every goal by goal, like I have a hard time strictly blaming Husso in this game. Like he's not part of the
again.
He's not actively helping. Yeah. He's not actively helping, but I don't think he was actively hindering in this game either.
No, but that right, and that's what I think I don't know if I can say problem is, but I think that's where the discussion comes from around Husso. Like he's not going out there and he's not like the worst goalie in the NHL, and he's like single-handedly costing you a season. Like he's started more games than anyone else, and you've had a pretty good year where you're in the playoff picture and et cetera, et cetera. It's again, like kind of in the same breath as what I said earlier, like I just like to be surprised once. Like I would just like him to, have I would just like one time to, be surprised by a play or a game or a big save or anything like that. It's because like the true 1A goalies on good teams do surprise you and do, help you win games, not just, oh, he's not hurting.
Yeah. But Scotty, in the end, Red Wings won the game. They snapped their 3-game losing streak, and they're 6-3-1 in their last 10. Ottawa also lost to the Carolina Hurricanes 4-1. So, I'm being a little petty, but that was nice to see. Red Wings still 4th place in the Atlantic Division, 1 point behind the Toronto Maple Leafs. Very much alive in the race, and they don't play again until Thursday when they play the Hurricanes at LCA. And hopefully JT Compher will be back.
Yeah, get healthy, boys. Get healthy.
Yeah, let's get healthy. All right, Scotty, any final thoughts?
Thought offensive zone entry was good in this game.
Much better. Yes.
It's something that I kind of have like, for as much as the scoring has been solid, I feel like I've harped on that a lot this year it
has been an issue.
Zone entry. But this game, I thought the zone entry was like really, really good. And again, that might be more of an opponent thing than anything else, but I thought it was really good. Good. I think that's it. We do ball.
We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.